All right, we call the meeting to order. Commissioner Weeks, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. First item on the agenda is to approve our agenda.
Move.
Second by Weeks, second by Gage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now we'll open the meeting up for any public comments. Anyone? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Jordan McQuillan. I'm the City Finance Officer for the City of Aberdeen. Thanks for allowing me to speak. I'll be brief. I just wanted to inform the Commission that the City of Aberdeen recently passed Resolution 2407R, which dissolves City of Aberdeen TIF Increment Finance District Number 14. It's the southernmost phase of what's known as like the Post Office Happy District. It created 56 residential lots beginning in 2011. It was built out mostly by 2013 or 2014. The original base for that TIF district was roughly $34,000. The current valuation is over $12 million, so it's created quite a bit of increment. Another significant item on this is that it contemplated a 17-and-a-half-year life when it was created, and it's maturing in year 13. So we're happy to dissolve it. I think that was a successful TIF for the city and county, and we're happy to work with partners like Happy to make things like that occur in our community.
Very good. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good news. Anyone else wish to address the commission this morning? In person, online, on the phone? Seeing none, we will move on. Next up, Warner Township discussed culvert on County Road 148. We asked that this be put on the agenda again this week. Commissioner Gage and I went down and drove around in that part of the county last Thursday. We have a meeting set up at 1 o'clock this afternoon in Chambers with the interested parties down there. Dirk, I don't know if you want to mention anything now. Dirk and I met yesterday about a potential solution. Again, we'll be having the meeting at 1, but if you want to speak at all, since it's on the agenda now, that would be fine.
Sure. I looked through the stuff and I'm familiar with the topic. It's not the first time we've come with this drainage. And, we gotta go down there and mill up that road yet this year and update multiple pipe in there like we do before we pave. Go through, mill it up, make sure, and we'll just put another one in there when we go by. It's part of that project. It's be a minimal cost when you figure it in that way. I guess that's the easiest solution if we're doing it in context with the rest of that work. It minimalizes the cost for the county, and we'll just pop it in there and hopefully move on with our lives.
There's currently an 18-inch pipe in there.
Yep.
What is your plan?
Probably put another 24 in there.
In addition to the 18?
In addition to the 18, maybe we'll take that one out, put in 2 24s and use the 18 somewhere else. I don't know. We'll just, we gotta look at a few other things with sizing and stuff down there, but there's probably 5 or 6 pipe in there we're gonna have to update. We started it last year because this has been planned for a few years that we'd be paving there. So that's what I would offer for a solution when we go through there. If in the meantime we get an 11-inch rain in there and it's gonna cause a problem, we can run down, open the pipe up or whatever, but, I just think that'd be the easiest way and a little more cost to the county, but not a big deal in scope of what 8 miles of paving's gonna be. We're gonna be north of $1 million down there anyway, so, unless you guys got an issue with that.
Sounds like a reasonable solution to me, and I think 2 24s would probably be adequate myself, based on the conversation I've had with you, so.
Sure.
Mr. Bosley?
Is there any thought of running a culvert across the county line road into that natural flow that was there before the road was built?
So, which way? Okay, I know where we're talking. Where do we got the pipe right now, Matt? Is that over here further?
Yeah, you're right in here. That's a 24 right here.
That's on the
Yeah.
main run over
Yeah,
here.
and then there's another 24 back here. just right off the intersection.
So there's nothing in here, it just follows the ditch and goes over on the north
Yeah.
side? No, we've never put any thought into it, but we can sure look at it, we're gonna have the road tore up,
So,
so.
yeah, that's, you know, maybe put a 36 in there or something. to get
Yeah, we can take a look at it,
Pressure on that other new approach.
sure. Just give another bypass to get around it.
Well, that's the natural flow, it would go in there and then it would come up back north, I don't know, 100 yards east.
I was looking at that, I'm surprised no one's ever pushed a,
Well, when that road was first built down there, the landowner that lived there, and it was a dry year, said, and they had a culvert to put in there, is the way I've been told. He said, you don't need to put a culvert in here, the water will just go down the ditch. Well,
huh,
this was back
right.
before my time.
All that stuff.
My dad told me these stories.
All the flow lines are going up anyway.
So, anyway, that's another thought.
Okay. I mean, like I said, we'll look at it, but yeah, to me, they could've just put a little ditch like there's other places in the county where they put a canal right along there and
Well,
just,
there's supposedly an eastment to do that.
Really?
Looks like it's a pretty good job.
That's what we were told last week, that there was a 20-foot easement along the north side of that ditch that was originally designed and planned to be a flow ditch, but
To
it
take that.
never got built. It never got dug.
there's a few of them on the Moxon Creek south of Bath that are like that, where they canaled out the oxbows and stuff, but yes, we can look at that and see, but anyway, that's what I would offer about that.
All right, thanks, Drew. Anything else on that? I think we're on the way to finding a solution. We'll meet at 1. I think Dirk and Scott will both be at that meeting along with your people, so we'll talk more about it then, so thank you. Moving on, second reading, possible adoption of the following ordinances.
Ordinance 273, an ordinance amending Title 4, second revision, Brown County ordinance as amended to rezone certain described properties, filed by Arlene West to go from Ag Preservation District to Mini Ag District.
Is there anyone here to speak to ordinance 273? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Moved. Second.
Motion by Denner, second by Weiss, further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Ordinance 274, an ordinance amending Title 4, second revision, Brown County ordinance as amended to rezone certain described properties, filed by T.C. Wright Trust, Dennis Jones, Chad and Jean Ferguson, to rezone 3 parcels going from Ag Preservation District to Mini Ag District, and 1 parcel from Mini Ag District to Ag Preservation District.
Is there anyone here to speak to ordinance 274? Not, I would entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Gage, second by Weiss, further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up, proposal for indigent defense services. We received a proposal from the group of attorneys, some of which are currently on our contract, for our consideration. Due to the fact that the county is exploring potential other road to go down, I think the proper thing to do would be at this point reject the proposal and further discuss what options we have for handling the indigent defense cases going forward.
Do we want to reject it, or do we want to defer it for a couple of weeks, just to leave the option open?
And that's an option also. I don't see Ross or
It's
Carl
around the
here.
corner. There it is.
Russ, would be best to reject or just defer at
I
this
think
point?
that RFP had in there that we have 30 days to make a decision.
Okay. No,
So we're coming up on that if not already.
Okay,
You go back and revisit it.
so at this point, reject?
It's up to you guys, but I don't remember the exact wording that was in there. This was kind of Carly's baby.
Right,
In earnest before that, I had very little to do with the last one.
right. I think because we had 30 days to either accept or reject, And, given the fact that we are having ongoing discussions about possibly establishing a public defender office within the county, that, we need to reject this proposal.
Okay, so moved.
Okay, motion by Weiss,
Second.
second by Gage. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up, resolution to establish application and administrative fees for future tax increment financing districts in Brown County. We proposed this a few weeks ago, and after a lot of further discussion and research, if we would adopt an administration and application fee, it would only apply to TIFs in Brown County, not the city. So, in the event that we have currently one TIF, and that's the beef plant. In the event that we would ever get another TIF, or someone would be interested, I guess the thought is to have this acted on and approved so that there is an ordinance in place, or a resolution in place establishing the fees, so that if anyone's interested, they would know up front that those fees would apply to the TIF. There's nothing been proposed, there's no TIFs on the horizon, but this way at least it's in the records as being in place so that they can better plan. Any questions? Again, it wouldn't apply to any city TIFs. Do you want me to read it, so everybody understands?
Sure.
Okay. A resolution to establish application and administrative fees for future tax increment financing districts in Brown County. Whereas the Brown County Commission wishes to promote economic development and growth within the county, and whereas the South Dakota Codified Law, Chapter 11-9 permits Brown County as a political subdivision to achieve the above objective through the creation, approval, and administration of TIFs. Whereas Brown County incurs costs and expenses in the consideration of applications for TIF, as well as the administration of the district created, and whereas SDCL 11-9-15, subsection 5, permits administrative costs to be included in the project costs, now therefore be it resolved, applications to Brown County for TIF shall henceforth be subject to a one-time application fee of $2,500. Be it further resolved, any developer seeking TIF from Brown County shall henceforth include in its project plan an administrative fee of 0.5% of the project cost, less financing costs identified therein, except that such amount shall not be less than $5,000, nor more than $20,000 to be paid to the county. Such amount may be deducted by the county from the initial remittance of tax increment revenues. Be it further resolved, upon request of the developer, all or a portion of the fees herein may be waived by the Brown County Commission. Any questions? Jay?
Wayne, was there any discussion about imposing that $2,500 upon the approval of the TIF? So that way, if somebody made application that was denied, they wouldn't lose their application costs? Because I noticed that the $2,500, I know the city has one now of $1,000 for an application cost, and you know, this being 2.5 times their application cost, I just wondered if it could be tied to like the approval of the TIF as opposed to just the application of the TIF.
Does the city's verbiage say upon approval or just upon application?
Upon submission of a plan.
Okay. I guess we haven't discussed that, Jay, and I would defer to the state's attorney if there would be any benefit or whatever for doing that. The fact that we've only got one TIF that was originated in 2007, it's pretty rare that we have a TIF. And so, thoughts on just adding the word one-time application upon approval, or is, given the fact that they're so rare, just leave it as is. Thoughts?
Well, in that vein, for consistency, you might consider, I had, thought about it, changing it to $1,000 application fee with an additional $1,500 when it's approved. There's a certain amount of work that's gotta be done just to process the application,
Yep.
whether it receives approval or not. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Does that make sense?
That works. That makes sense, I think.
I think that's a reasonable, do we wanna,
Can we amend that to reflect that $1,000 application fee, with a subsequent $1,500 fee upon approval? And the rest of it the
down,
same?
can change that line? Any other questions, concerns, suggestions? Thanks for that, Jay, and Rod, that's good information.
On the top end, Dwayne, the maximum is 20,000, also not comparing it to the city, because the county is an independent body to do what it wants, right? But is there a reason why that was set at that level?
That's another good question. Ross, do you have an
At
idea
what level?
why it was set at 20,000 for a maximum?
That's what you guys asked for.
Okay? That's what we asked for.
There you go.
Should it be more?
We can make it 50, yeah.
See, you always gotta be careful what you ask for, that's right.
Yeah, that number could
Always,
go up.
always subject to change, but, at least get something on the books.
We just thought it was an appropriate amount based on, the size of, the potential size of some of these projects. I mean, I think it was important to have some kind of a cap there. So to come up with a number that we feel like is, fairly reasonable.
And then just for clarity, can I trouble you to reread the last line of that?
The last line being, be it further resolved, upon request of the developer, all or a portion of the fees herein may be waived by the Brown County Commission.
So, it leaves the options open depending on the project and
I got your number,
circumstances.
Michael.
So
The good news is
out
I
there.
do think that we'll be bringing forward a county TIF in the not too distant future for your
Oh, really?
considerations.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so with that change, we'll change the first, now therefore be it resolved, applications to Brown County for a TIF shall henceforth be subject to a one-time application fee of $1,000 with an additional $1,500 to be paid upon approval, something along that line. Okay with that, Lynn?
Yep.
Are we okay approving that with that change, or do you wanna add it again next week so you can see the exact verbiage?
I'll move it.
Okay, motion by Weiss, second by Gage, to approve the, resolution with the change on the, application fee. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you all for your input.
You bet, thank you.
Thanks for the modification.
No problem.
Thanks for being here.
Next up, a resolution in support of local control. This resolution was drafted, as a result, in large part, to the passage of Senate Bill 201. And a similar, basically this resolution was passed on to the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners and will be dealt with at their August board meeting to pass on to our members at our September convention. Basically what it does, and I'll read it, it's a fairly short one. Whereas county government is best served by the governing and management of local resources by local elected officials, whereas local control is much more responsive to the needs of local citizens, whereas local elected officials have an obligation to protect the safety, health, and welfare of the entire community, whereas local leaders and local governing bodies reduce bureaucracy, reduce taxpayer expenses, and improve the efficiency of government operations, whereas elected officials in the counties are closest to its citizens and are more invested in the success of the community and are best suited to make important decisions about its operation and governance. Now therefore be it resolved that Brown County urges the state legislature and governor to enact and provide support for laws that encourage local control. So this resolution was passed on again to the state. We'll be passing it on a state level. Hopefully the board will approve it. There's really no legislation that's tied to it or even suggestions, but it puts it on the state, the Association of Counties radar and their watch list, so that if anything comes up during the session, that they've been given the directive to follow and testify in support of local control. It probably won't go in as a resolution. It'll probably become part of our policy statement for the South Dakota Association, and so there's really no action that will be taken unless something is introduced during the session. But this just shows support for the resolution as we move it forward. Any questions? Not, I would entertain a motion to approve, if it's the wish of the commission.
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion by Denner, second by Weiss. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up, resolution requesting an amendment to SDCL 10-25 to include a process for applying excess tax deed proceeds to the satisfaction of other claims held by the county. So it's a little more wordy. Whereas the 99th Legislature of the State of South Dakota amended Chapter 10-25 of the South Dakota statute to comply with the United States Supreme Court's ruling in Tyler v. Hennepin County, Minnesota. Long list of what that entails. Whereas Chapter 10-25-39 was amended to require any surplus proceeds of the tax deed sale that remain after payment of taxes, penalty, interest, and other costs must be returned to the prior owner of record. Whereas they failed to address other debts claimed by counties in various statutory lien forms, including but not limited to care of the poor and indigent defense liens. Whereas the Brown County desires a statutory process to make a claim on excess tax deed sale proceeds before their remittal to the prior owner of record, where there exists claim for other debt obligations owed to the county. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Brown County Commissioners urges the 100th Legislature and Governor of the great state of South Dakota to revise South Dakota Codified Law 10-25 to permit counties to hold funds from tax deed sales above and beyond the tax debt and costs owed in trust, to provide a scheme by which claims held by the counties may be resolved prior to distribution. So what happens now is if we have a tax deed sale, the county is only entitled to what taxes are due the county, property taxes. If there's other liens that have been placed on a property or a property owner, like it states, whether it be care of the poor, indigent defense, jail, medical, I mean, there's any number of things that can be liened on a person or a property. And under this Supreme Court ruling, it was very finite and said that anything above those taxes has to go back, proceeds have to go back to the landowner or the owner of the property. And we just think the county should be entitled or have a mechanism by which we could recover all of our costs, including liens. We have arranged for all three of our local current lawmakers. They have agreed to sponsor this, so thank you, Carl and Brandy and Al, in their willingness to support this when we get to the legislative session. South Dakota counties will again work with the legislators in the drafting of that language so that we get it right, and that's our goal.
And clarification by the court that was basically a literal interpretation of the laws that exist, not necessarily what the intent might have been, so.
Right. Yeah, it was just very, very finite in their decision, but they didn't take into consideration other ramifications and other liens and monies owed to counties or other governmental entities.
Right. And then just to be clear, the county still wouldn't make any money off this. We'd just be able to recoup the cost of what we're owed from other fees associated with this, so.
Right.
On behalf of the taxpayers.
Yep.
Right.
Just to make that clear.
Ross?
Yeah, a couple notes. So it was House Bill 1090, I think, that revised this to comply with the U.S. Supreme Court ruling. The way it's written now, the statute says that we have to remit it to the prior owner any excess or turn it over to unclaimed property in 180 days. We're not asking to just take it. There's got to be an element of due process here. So whether that's some sort of claim where a court signs off on it, there could be other lien holders that have a higher priority than the county. Other states addressed it in different ways. South Dakota just decided to remit it to the property owner. So we could end up in a position where we're sorting out lien priorities. And I'll also note that when this happens, when there is an excess, it is pretty rare.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah. It's just a way of protecting what the county is owed and at least attempting to recoup those costs.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Weiss,
Second.
second by Gage, further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, next up, resolution establishing public use policy for county offices. This one's fairly short, but the policy itself is lengthy. I'm not gonna read that. I'll just read the resolution. Whereas the First Amendment to the United States Constitution protects freedom of speech, the press, the right to peaceably assemble, and the right to petition. U.S. Constitution Amendment 1, emphasis added. Whereas the South Dakota State Constitution protects the right of petition and peaceable assembly. South Dakota Constitution, Article 6 and 4, emphasis added. Whereas the Brown County appreciates citizens who wish to take an active role in federal, state, and local government decisions. Whereas Brown County buildings exist to accommodate the business of county government, the courts, and citizens of Brown County. Whereas in an effort to balance the aforementioned rights with the need to preserve public safety and provide citizens the opportunity to conduct their county business without unnecessary disruption, the Board of County Commissioners has considered reasonable accommodations for citizens or groups to circulate petitions, distribute information, and engage in other First Amendment activities. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Brown County Commissioners adopts the attached Brown County Office Public Use Policy. And it's
I can lay it out.
the better part of 2 pages. Do you wanna go ahead and explain it?
So Minnehaha County had an issue with their policy about the same time that we were having some issues with petition gathering. We kind of waited a little bit for them to sort that out, so we knew where the line was. Ultimately, what was decided orally here in this chamber was 10 feet from the door. Everybody stay outside for your petition gathering, your First Amendment activities. So that's largely what that policy says. It's just a written form of the oral policy. It covers basically these grounds. We didn't get into anything with the fairgrounds or the 123 building or any other county offices. I think this is the natural place where those activities tend to happen. So it does mirror Minnehaha's quite a bit. but it's a little bit less restrictive. They actually have a defined area. And the other thing is, it limits blocking handicapped access, because then we run into other problems there too. So basically, anywhere outside, at least 10 feet from the door, that doesn't block a handicap ramp or anything like that, would be an appropriate place to set up shop.
All right, are there any questions? We just felt it was important that we have written policy for people to follow and guidelines to abide by. And this is available if anybody would want to see it. Any questions, comments, or motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Appreciate the state's attorney's office and your work on that.
Yep.
Second it?
Motion by Weiss, second by Dennert. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you for that. That was a lot of reading.
It was done for a while. I figured since we're having resolution day, I should take it out.
Yeah. Things fell sweet, get them all done. All right, approve and authorize chairman to sign renewal contract with Credit Collections Bureau. That was in the packet.
Move. Second.
Motion by Weiss, second by Dennert. They've had a change in administration and people working for them. The person that originally signed the contract is no longer there, so they just felt it was important to have a new signed contract with current people in charge being on the contract. So the terms didn't change, just the signers, I guess. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Moving on to the consent calendar.
Approval of the general meeting minutes of July 23rd.
Move.
Motion by Weiss, second by Gage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Claims and payroll.
Move. Second.
Motion by Gage, second by Dennert. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
HR report.
Move. Second.
Motion by Dennert, second by Weiss. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Travel request.
Move. Second.
Motion by Gage, second by Weiss. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Auditor's report of accounts for June of 2024.
Move.
Motion by Weiss,
Second.
second by Gage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Lease agreement.
Move. Second.
Motion by Weiss, second by Dennert. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Set hearing date and authorize advertising for temporary malt beverage permit for Aberdeen Area Chamber of Commerce.
Move. Second.
Motion by Gage, second by Weiss. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Claim assignment.
Move.
Motion by Dennert, second by Weiss. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Any other business to come before the Brown County Commission this morning? Had a request to go into executive session for personnel and contracts and probably an update on legal. Anything to update?
Carly's coming over, but
Okay.
Move.
Motion by Weiss,
Second.
second by Gage. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are in exec.
284.24.
Okay, lights back on. We're out of exec. At this point, I would entertain a motion to release a lien that the county has on a piece of property that was mistakenly put on.
Move.
Motion by Weiss, second. Second by Dennert. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Anything else to come before the Brown County Commission this morning?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion by Dennert, second by Weiss to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.